7 most biggest things ever robbed in the world. When we think about thieves, we picture everything from a young child robbing a 7-Eleven candy bar to a group of men dressed in tuxedos pulling off a complex casino robbery that involves grappling hooks. However, there is a class of thieves even higher than them, those that have somewhat larger minds than the rest. It turns out to be too huge. They attempted to take items like, for this reason. Number 7. A 3,000-pound bell. How often do you go to church, or in this case, a Buddhist temple, and immediately think, I want one, as the bell rings? Some other males did as well, and they decided to realize their goal. You can only imagine how shocked the Buddhist monks were to discover their massive bell was taken from a temple in Tacoma, Washington, especially with the monster weighing 3,000 fucking pounds. Theorized by experts, see local police, the thieves would have needed to bring a forklift and a vehicle to load the item aboard, unless they had superhuman abilities. It's a freaking bell after all, so you would think someone would have heard something with all the peaceful time at those temples. But no one did. The bell, which was reportedly cast in Vietnam, was so expensive that the monks were unable to determine its exact value. This must have infuriated them even more when they realized that the thieves would likely sell it for scrap. Naturally, this begs the issue of what the thieves intended to do with the item after they got it, as you could get more than a sidelong glance as you hauled this bastard through the door at even the seediest pawn shops and scrap metal yards. As it happens, they had no strategy. A year later, when some moron attempted to sell it along with some other garbage for $500, the monks were reunited with their bell. The buyer ruined his opportunity to have a massive badass bell on his porch by going straight to the police. Number 6. A beach. It was authorities strolling down the beach in Jamaica in July 2007 when the beach vanished. They told the local police that an entire fucking beach had been stolen after hiding their cannabis. Nobody knows where it went or who took it, but almost a half-mile of beach was gone. After excluding natural sources, island officials surmise that some 500 dump trucks were filled with sand and transported to another location on the island. Once more, no one knows where it went, who took it, or why. But you think the guy who started selling timeshares for houses with the tagline, "Now with beach," would be the main suspect. Number 5. A tank? It was easier back in 1995. It wasn't true that terrorists were hiding under every rock, and carrying too much shampoo on an airplane wouldn't have you searched from head to toe. Back then, you could pretty much stroll right into a military camp and ask to borrow something like a tank. Everything was done on the honor system. Not convinced by us? Ask Nelson Sean. Sean was an ordinary man whose life took a turn for the worse after he attempted to establish a mining quarry in his backyard and sued San Diego at a hospital. Sean, who enjoys unconventional thinking, decided to pilfer a 57-ton M60 patent tank from the National Guard Armory in his community. It turns out that, contrary to police theory, he broke into 3 separate tanks with a crowbar before discovering one that would start, and that the hatches were indeed locked. Tanks do not need keys to start. Indeed, the only thing preventing Al-Qaeda from seizing control of an armored division was their ignorance of the crowbar issue. A guard didn't realize someone was taking a friggin' tank until it was too late. The guard, being the courageous person he was, did the only thing his pay grade and training permitted him to do: make a phone call. Number 4. A bridge. Have you ever had someone tell you, "Well, if you believe that, I'd like to sell you a bridge"? If you are in Russia at that time, go with caution, as there's a possibility that the man is attempting to move a bridge in the back. In truth, it might be this bridge in Khabarovsk, Russia, that was taken. And overnight, the robbers took it. That's correct, at night, a 38-foot steel bridge intended for use by cars was taken without anyone knowing. The local police make the theory that a group of thieves demolished the bridge to sell the metal for scrap. In what has to be the most amazing "guess what I did while I was drunk last night" narrative ever. Because it's Russia, you know. The fact that these are most likely repeat bridge thieves is the worst part. The story states that earlier in the year, 2 other bridges were entirely taken, and authorities believe there is a connection between the crimes, though not via a bridge. Number 3. The church. A local businessman reportedly stopped by and gave the villagers an offer of roughly 4 cents per brick for the church. We'll speculate that, although he intended to pay for the construction in full, he was taken aback one morning to find hundreds of Russian villagers carrying bricks in their arms when he opened his door. The church's robbery appears to have taken place in less than a month, and authorities think the bricks in issue were used to construct other nearby buildings, all of which, we assume, are extremely cursed. With this in mind, they proposed a prize for the church's return. We have a funny picture of a bunch of Russians huddled around a garbage fire, figuring out which bricks the local McDonald's doesn't need to keep standing. Number 2. A tanker truck full of oil. While Somali pirates can only take over oil tankers and demand a ransom, some people simply steal these enormous, slowly moving vessels. The Nigerian Navy was manning the ship, known as the MV Asterius, which was anchored at an oil field in Ghana. 2 points to consider here. First, we believe the Nigerian Navy isn't that strong. Second, the crew of the MV Asteroids was all Russian. 2 distinct oil firms, Yink and Lushin Ethernet, happened to be the boat's charterers, and they both pointed the finger at one another when they should have been accusing the Russians. There have been no leads or suspects reported, and the boat was never found. Subsequently, in the same year, the Nigerian Navy was further insulted when 2 additional tankers were taken overnight. The MV Gemma was discovered to have been painted. We suspect it has the same impact on spacecraft, even if it works brilliantly on cars, at least in the Grand Theft Auto universe. The missing ship has been arrested, stated Navy Commander Kabir Aliyu. Without doing any additional research, we will presume that this meant strapping the boat down with absurdly large handcuffs and placing it in ship prison, while donning a massively striped uniform. Number 1. The Empire State Building. You did read correctly. It took just 90 minutes to steal the Empire State Building. Let me say it again. In 90 minutes, the Empire fucking State Building was taken. However, you might be disappointed to hear that there was no enormous subterranean drill or enormous Superman villain helicopter involved in the actual theft. No, the New York Daily News took possession of the building. The news agency successfully created documents for a bill of sale and other undisclosed legal documents through an intricate, but not very difficult, method of forgery. These documents were convincing enough for the New York City office of the City Register to transfer the building's title to Nelitz Properties, LLC. I guess you noticed it too. That Nelitz has been stolen in reverse? You did not. Rest assured, the office of the City Register did not either. What more did they miss, you know? Among the notable names on the paperwork were Willie Sutton, the renowned bank robber, and Fay Ray, the original King Kong actor, who served as the notary's witness. To be honest, the purpose of the ploy was to highlight a weakness in the system, namely, that clerks are not compelled to double-check any information. The report highlighted real-life instances of this type of full home robbery, in which the burglars would take out mortgages on the property and force the real owners to make mortgage payments while keeping hundreds of thousands of dollars in their pockets. So this is the end of our today's video. Do you like it? Kindly give your valuable response in our comment section below, and don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel for more interesting and informative videos.